KJ or K-Jack the Great, which young linebacker will step up besides Lundy and Graham? I like Nicholson. I have no idea. I think Florida State needs at least one transfer. That brings up a great point. Linebacker is one of those spots in today's game I don't dislike playing young players. I loathe it. I'll give you an example. In the SEC title game, afterwards they talked to Kirby after they got beat, and he even brought it. I was kind of surprised he did this. The kid that got beat on the wheel route, I think into the first half for Alabama, it was a really basic route, and he just got completely out of space. It was their third-team linebacker. It's a kid from Tallahassee. That signed with Georgia, was a freshman. They've got a couple guys banged up. He had to play. If they're normal linebackers in the game, Bama may not have scored. They might have lost that game. Playing young linebackers with all the different schemes, pick plays, trying to get one-on-ones against a running back or slot, I want no part. I hate saying this, and I know coaches don't want to bring this up. I don't want a freshman or a sophomore sniffing the field for more than a few plays as a linebacker. There's just too many plays that happen like that helped Alabama beat Georgia that it's just scary. And there's nothing as a coach you can do about it. It is uber complex to play linebacker in this passing spread offense that everybody runs. So I think they need at least one transfer portal linebacker that is definitively good in pass coverage. And if you get another guy, this is something else because everybody's in dime and nickel packages all the time. Anyway, take a big safety that you think you can translate to playing some specialty packages, especially if he's a blitzer or good in slot, being a nickel. Those guys are the most valuable now because they're playing an unsung hero kind of role, but it's vital. It's paramount. I mean, it changes how things go. But anyway, I think I would take one. I've got to look into their depth chart more. They played the starters so much this year. We may not know much. I mean, Deloach, he was a clutch player. They're not going to bring him off the field very often. They probably need at least one portal, but one of those young guys, Nicholson's a good pick. He could be the guy, could be somebody else, though. John Decker, do you think all the high-level players that have already entered the portal are we still working for some big names to enter the market? There will be more guys. I think this happened quite a few times, last year. It's hilarious. You get into bowl practices, pick the school. And again, this is not Florida State related. This is across the board. They start practices, and then one day, practice getting ready to start, a coach gets a phone call. So-and-so says, I'm entering the portal. They have no idea. They had no idea. This can happen to Norvell and his staff or any other staff in the country. There is no way to predict. It is random as it can be. So which one will it be? If I had to guess right now, Florida State will sign at least one player from the portal. I don't know what position that has not entered yet. It's the way it is, man. There'll be could be a kid that's at Florida, could be Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, whatever. Who knows? It's so easy to get in the portal. And again, it doesn't conclude until the 2nd of January, getting in and getting out. Florida State's got plenty of time. I think we're talking about enough space for Florida State to make plenty of hay on offense and defense. I'm not real worried about it. But I don't know what I'd say another 10, 15% of the total market still is sitting back and for whatever reason hasn't. Some of them may not even have thought about it, which is crazy. They can get into a disagreement. They decide they're homesick. Their mom wants them to leave. There's a million different reasons. Portal is wild. Jerry Astainza. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I'm just going to call you Jerry. We will be a good team. However, to be a great team, we will need help at quarterback, linebacker, and offensive line. 100%. Here's the deal. Florida State they're losing one of their all-time great players in Jordan Travis. They had a very veteran offensive line. And again, as we talked about a moment ago, the two inside linebackers, they played like 60% of the snaps, if not more, maybe 70%. You're not going to just pull that away. Like, I think Lundy's pretty good. I think he's got at least 1 year left, but can't remember off the top of my head. But they're going to need somebody to play early. Like Jaden Parrish, the kid that they've got coming in from Atlantic High School. It's one of the reasons I brought him up. He's damn good. Now, again, I still don't like Freshmen playing linebacker, but you can use him in roles like blitz, goal line, etc. I don't like him in 1st and 10 situations. Teams are going to scheme against freshmen at any spot, but it's harder at linebacker because it's more of a dual role with run and pass. That corner, they're never going to say you don't have to play the run. That's not true, but it's your main job is just to stop the dude in front of you. That's your main job. Or on a play, maybe your zone. It's a little more basic. Less mental work, whatever positions they are, those are the ones where freshmen hit the field more often and get more reps. So I think linebacker is the biggest spot to figure out on defense for next year. D end, obviously, you're losing, another great player. In Verse, I wouldn't want to be in that situation trying to replace him because he's a dude. Everybody knows it. But I also think that Florida State can find one defensive end, and they've got other guys. They should be able to rotate. They'll be in pretty good spot at that defensive end area. Damian Adams. Ward seems to be heading to Miami. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't checked any quarterback news today. If that's the case, I don't know. I think I want to say he was going to visit there, but that's just one guy. I mean, anybody can talk about one player making it happen, but it is what it is. Does he take one visit? I mean, if he only takes one visit, that means they either blew him away or just gave him an offer he couldn't pass on. But Ohio State is allegedly the leader for him based on the odds. I guess a lot of people just think because Ohio State's after him, that with their quarterback history, they would get him. I thought that was kind of odd. I saw a couple of people talk about that. I don't know what that's going on. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in any rumors on the quarterback market. There are a lot of people trying to sell clicks right now. If he visits Miami, they got a shot. Anybody he visits, that team has a shot. The problem with the transfer portal stuff, unlike a recruit, which I could see at a 7-on-7, is I have zero access to him. Zero. I have no way to break anything. Somebody that covered Washington State might have his number, but is he really going to take phone calls? Everything's going to be speculation and what they heard back door. That's not good. So just something to think about. Charles Plot. Afternoon, brother. Any news on the Orange Bowl players opting out? Somebody else in the chat, I'll have to get into that. I have not delved into that at all. I said a little bit ago, in case you weren't in, I've been focused on two things: recruiting, high school kids, and the quarterback position in the portal. That is it. That alone overwhelms me. I have not checked on anything Florida State opt-outs. I'm going to do like one show right around Christmas, maybe even Christmas Day on it to kind of talk about it before the Orange Bowl. I figure by Christmas Day, most of the things that you're going to need to know will happen then, but I haven't even touched it. Somebody wants to post some news in the chat. I truly appreciate it. But again, for any team, I have not looked into it. There's going to be a ton. Like, as a rule, your running back, your quarterback, your left tackle, your pass rusher, and your corner, the premium positions that can go really high in a draft for any team, they ain't playing. If they're draft eligible, bye-bye. So that's something to think about moving forward. What are the windows for a coaching leave? Can it happen whenever? Yeah, it's all contract, man. Most of them will happen in December and January, but most right now. This depends. There's a coaching clinic every year. I think it's in Texas. It may have changed location right after like the Orange Bowl. That can lead to some changes, but most of them December and January. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about too much at Florida State, but you're always going to lose one or two coaches because guys are looking to get coordinator jobs. And if you can go make an extra $500,000 a year, you're going to leave. So always expect changes on the staff. Hey, Jack, we need a tight end. We've got the freshman Thomas. By the way, Landon Thomas is a dude. I'll talk about him here in a minute. We have to get Morlock, but still another one, maybe with 1 or 2 years left out of the portal. I don't disagree. Jaheim Bell is a very unique player. You're not going to replace him by himself. Landon Thomas is a freak, though. No BS. When I saw Landon going into the 9th grade, he was playing on a 15U 7-on-7 team called 229 Elite based out of South Georgia. And I'm like, I'd take that kid right now. It was hilarious watching him run around because he was about 6'4", when he was 15 years old. And he just, anytime they were throwing up to him, it was a joke. So great kid, and Florida State got a dude. Josh Johnson, I would like to get Cam, but most likely we will get DJU. That could be. As much as a lot of Florida State fans probably wouldn't like it, that would probably be a pretty decent in-between. I don't know what he would do in Norvell's system because I don't think he's a true 100% fit. Because, I mean, he can run, but I don't think he's the pure fit that you're looking for. He's got a cannon. Does he make it? And does he do a great job for Florida State in terms of making the transition? I think he would do pretty well. He's a mature kid, nice guy. I just don't know if he's mobile enough to maximize what FSU fans would really like. No matter what quarterback it is, I'll go ahead and make it happen one way, shape, or form. I'll talk about somebody, go through all the pros and cons, why I like it. We'll do another live stream similar to this too. Maybe even talk about like DJ compared to how he's a good fit in some ways, but not as good as Cam Ward and others. There's a lot of ways to do it. I'm open-minded. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Oh, no worries, Charles. He asked a question here a minute ago. I'm open-ended, man. I know I got to go through and kind of repeat stuff. Let me talk a little bit more about some of the Florida State. I'm just going to run down some things. Just in general. Just kind of go through the class in general from a position standpoint. Maybe even touch on, as I go through, a couple guys because I know them that I think could play early. Some of them, like, I don't know. Like the kid, the offensive line from California, no idea. I don't know his personality, his maturity level. It's very difficult to say. Landon Thomas, I mentioned him a minute ago, out of Colquitt County, one of the best programs, South Central Georgia. Definitely a guy that can play as a freshman. I will be shocked if they don't use him. 6'5", 230-ish, 6'4", 230, whatever. He's a big dude. He could run. He has very soft hands, natural length. He's going to play early. Kai Bates, he's my cornerback that I know plays at Edgewater High School in Orlando. Saw him play uber amount of times. I will be shocked if they don't use Bates because, like Jamari Howard, because of all the guys they've got, like pretty much on the roster, they've got length. He has that, and he's 6'1", 6'2", and he's very, very physical. Kai Bates has played against top-notch competition in Orlando. He's a guy that can make it happen. Cam Davis, I've talked about him numerous times. Elite football player. Could play safety, running back, or slot. He's tremendous no matter where he gets stuck. There was a game in 7-on-7. They had to play him at safety because they didn't have another guy. Somebody got hurt. Came in that game, he had 2 picks. He's just a natural football player. He's at a Doherty High School in Albany. He's one of my favorite kids in this class. Just a great dude. Wayne McCoy. Up top, corner ball, punt return, bubble screen, anything you can think of. He's that kind of guy that can take the play to the house from Central High School in Miami, Florida. I think Wayne is one of the most explosive athletes in the class. I think he's even a better corner, but he wants to play receiver, speed galore. Yeah, he could play early. Mekhi Danzy, running back. He's one of the fastest kids in the country. Forget football, just period. 45.99 in the 400 meters. Elite speed. He's a really unique football player. I'm curious to see how they use him and if they can get him into the rotation next year. If he turns the corner, he's even faster than Tofili. He can go. Elijah Moore is another receiver that's really good, underrated. A good counsel in Maryland, bigger guy, probably a boundary receiver. He's going to be competing against some really good dudes in Florida State's big-bodied receiver room. I mean, they got some big guys. He fits right in. The offensive lineman that will probably have the best chance to play early is Jonathan Daniels. I hope he doesn't have to. He's got a Pine Forest in Pensacola. I think he'll play guard, but he could play some tackle if you needed him to. Very, very good athlete. The guy that I've talked about on this show a gazillion times that's really good is B.J. Gibson. Wilcox County could play DB, running back, receiver, projected to play receiver. I think he's a guy that Florida State will use in some capacity next year, even if it's just special teams. Really good hands, will fight for the football in traffic. Just a good ball player. Camden Fryer will end up playing a lot at Florida State. His dad, yes, is that Fryer on the 93 team that won the national championship. Slot receiver, he is a dude. D.D. Holmes out of Gonzaga, another private school in D.C. Good to see the Noles hitting that area because it's got so much talent. Big, long, lanky kid, 250, but could add more weight. He could be a 275-pound kid by the time he enrolls. Wouldn't shock me. He's got the frame for it. He can play 3 tech, 5 tech, whatever. He'll be moved around, and he'll be a chess piece for the Noles. Jaden Parrish, I've talked about, elite linebacker talent, Atlantic High School. I don't like freshmen playing, or really sophomores that much in linebacker in today's game, but he's so good, I'm sure they're going to find a niche for him. He can play pretty much anywhere in that front 7 as a linebacker in different roles, 3-3-5. You could use him in a 4-2-5, whatever, blitzer. He'll find his way onto the field. A kid nobody talks about, the other linebacker, Tamir Hickman-Collins, he's very similar. A little bit bigger than Parrish, but he can play downhill and be a thumper. I think he's a guy that you put him next to Parrish, Florida State will be really good long term. So those are some of the kids that I know pretty well. There are other kids I know a little bit about, but those are the ones I know the best. All right, let's see what Mr. Decker has to say. Any freshman recruits expected to start next year? Jeremiah Smith's the best receiver in the country and the best player. He would start at Florida State. But besides that, I don't like projecting freshmen to play. Landon Thomas, I think, would have a great chance to be at least like a co-starter because as a receiver, he's just a mismatch. He's like a big receiver. I don't really consider him just a tight end. He's that kind of guy. But after that, Cam Davis, if he's healthy, maybe. I don't look at linemen very often. And then Jaden Parrish is a guy in nickel dime package. They could probably play. It's a good question, John. All right, Maximus 1318. I'm just excited on seeing a sophomore Hakeem. I'm a Hakeem Williams, the receiver. He's a really athletic guy out of South Florida, played at Stranahan High School. The class looks like a bunch of ball. Yeah, this is a great class. For anybody just in general, just the basic nuts and bolts, Florida State's 24 class is legit. All right, 726J5. Let's see what he brings to Florida State Seminoles in 24. I'm not sure who you're referring to, but there's a bunch of guys coming that are really good. Maximus. Wonder what the percentage is of O-line coming into high school, starting and making UMPAT. About 0.1. Offensive line is not where you want to get behind them. That's what caused Florida State problems in the past. They've got to recruit O-line better. They've done okay this year, but they're still not where they need to be. If I'm going to complain about anything, the more I look at their class, that'd be the one thing. I like some of the players they have coming in and all that, but they need more numbers out of the high school ranks. Getting a JUCO kid wouldn't be a bad idea either. Let's see here. Tribal Chief Knowles Best. My number one recruiting quest is quarterback, dual threat, dual threat, dual threat. I think you made your point clear. Luke Crumhock's dual threat. And I think you're also trying to allude to portal, I'm guessing. And it'll probably be that. I mean, technically, DJU would be dual threat, but not the way you're talking about. I think he's talking more like a Charlie Ward kind of guy, which Cam Ward would be. I can't say that I disagree with that. Torrey Sims, talk about our running back room and how well they might do next year. Well, here's the problem with that, Torrey. Who's coming back? I think CJ jumped in the portal, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure on Cam Davis and how healthy he is. I assume Tofili is going to be the guy. If that's the case, which player or players back up? You might have another portal guy come in because you lost one to the portal. You've got Danzy and you've got Cam Davis, 2 really good running backs coming into the class, but you don't like to rely on freshmen. Keziah could be a guy that could be your number 2. He's very talented. They need one of the guys that are freshmen and a portal guy. You need to have 4 at minimum that are healthy and know the playbook. And that's really minimum because so many guys get banged up. Florida State went through that this year. Every team does. Got to be careful at running back. I would be careful to the point I would think about taking in 2 running backs, even if one of them is more of an H-back, fullback, big body guy for specialty situations. Who replaces at Benson? Sam Singleton. I forgot about him. He's really talented. He's out of the Jacksonville area, Fleming Island. That's a possibility. He played a little bit late in the year. I don't know much about how much he's learned the playbook and all that, but man, can he run. Saw him in high school, saw him compete as a junior. I think he has a lot of talent. Florida State will be in pretty good shape, but they need to get one of these other younger guys. They need to know more about him in spring. I need to see him. Tribal Chief, Knowles Best. If Benson comes, is he coming back? Not sure. So it's a toss-up. I'd assume he's gone. If Benson doesn't turn pro, I'd be surprised because the number one position to get beat up based on their numbers is running back. You're junior and you don't even think about it, you go. You're a 5th round pick, you go. It's unfortunate, but that spot just doesn't have a lot of shelf life. So you get what you can. Maximus, what are the chances Luke comes in and take the starting job? I'd say about 1%. I'm going to say it again. Freshman, bad. Starting freshman, winning big, bad. Those things do not go together. Luke's a guy I know. He's a friend. No, no, no. It's a terrible idea. You do not want freshman quarterbacks playing. There's only been one Power 5 quarterback off the top of my head in the last few years making an impact as a freshman, and he even still had some problems, and that was Caleb Williams when he was at Oklahoma. He had that game against Kansas where he was terrible. Freshman quarterback is bad. You do Drake May redshirt. It's hard. Corey Sims, my concern is this running out of NIL money. I am worried. I've heard different things on that, and I don't know where it stands. I'm not going to jump into the thread and say that I know much about Florida State's NIL situation. I've heard about 100 different things, kind of like the Jeremiah Smith deal. That's going to be a story. We get the back end of it. Here's what I do know. And again, this isn't Florida State really. This is any school. I don't care how big your collective is. That's irrelevant. The only thing that matters are the truly elite, financially secure people. We're talking about worth $100 million and up kind of people. How many of them do you have in your collective, or at least have on call, that are willing and really not concerned about blowing a lot of money? 8 figures, meaning like if they spent $10 million in a year, they wouldn't care. If you don't have a guy like that in your program, and I have no idea if Florida State does, you're going to have a hard time year in and year out competing, because some of that money goes to facilities, some of it goes to coaching, etc., in some way, shape, or form, because like even if it's not directly from them, then the school can spend more on those things. It's, who goes where doesn't matter. You must have people that always go out of their way to help out the program in big chunk situations, usually like Cam Ward, Jeremiah Smith, something like that. If you don't have guys like that you can just call, it's not good. All right, Tribal Chief Knowles. Would you be shocked if they get DJ over Sam? Who's Sam? I'm not sure who we're talking about with Sam. I assume you mean DJU. Who's Sam? Not really sure on that one. All right. We are pretty much caught up on questions. I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute, but if Tribal Chief wants to clarify, I'll definitely answer that. Try to wrap it up here in the next few minutes. Again, if anybody has any questions about the recruiting class in general, or if you got a portal question, it seems a lot of people still want to answer questions themselves, give opinions. I love that. If you want to ask a question to me on either of those topics, portal, high school, a player, position group, what do we need, those kind of questions, fire away. More than happy. Maximus. Who would you say would be the best bet for – oh, wow. I have no idea. Running backs, I would go with the least likely, most likely O-linemen that have a chance. O-line typically don't like change as much. Skill position guys leave more often. I'd also say that the quarterback position is the wild card. Do you get Rodemaker back and Glenn back? One of them may not want to come back next year. It's hard to say. Peter Olivia, any news on Cam Ward? I have not heard. I just know that he was supposed to visit Miami, among others. Ohio State's rumored with him. That is the big question in the room, brother. Peter, if I knew, it'd be great, because once he announces Florida State or otherwise, it'll help everybody that's trying to get a quarterback make a move, because I think, in my opinion, most of these people are really trying to do everything they can to get him, and they're not going to move on somebody else until they know. I don't know what's going on with Cam Ward, but that's a big deal. Benson. All right. Let me see what we got here. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with the Benson thing, but what was it you asked earlier? Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Tribal Chief, Cam Ward, not Sam. Oh, okay. I mean, if you get DJ, you get DJ. I don't know where Cam's going. I don't have any insights or contacts up in the Northwest. That is not my bag. I live in Florida. So, I mean, if you get if you get Cam Ward, you can win 10 games. I think DJ's an 8-4, 9-3 quarterback, give or take, with Florida State next year. That would be my guess. Tori Sims says Benson needs to come back. That may be. I highly doubt he does. Running backs go to the NFL because they're worried about getting hurt. Who are the highest non-quarterback players in the portal? Walter Nolan is number one. There are a few other guys in that realm. There's some pretty good receivers. Florida State's after a bunch of defensive ends. But, I mean, Nolan is the one, just obvious NFL top 10 pick kind of guy. He's going to play 1 year. I think he's just going to take the biggest NIL check. Maximus. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, brother. No problem at all. Jeremiah Priest. I expect most of our players will play in the bowl. First was the game too much to sit out. I completely disagree. Let me be clear. It is about the money. It is not about Florida State. They like what's on the shirt, but they like what's on the check more. If Jared Verse plays in the bowl game, I will be shocked. Jonas Burris. Any news on Trayshawn Ward? I have no idea. I've heard his name come up a few times. Until he announces, I'm not going to really put a lot of stock in it. Hey, Jack. Fuller visited Diggs, the D-line, this weekend. Well, I mean, they're at like Danaeus White, some other guys, Florida State's going after them. There's going to be some more high school kids get brought in. We'll see what happens. Fadel Diggs, I assume you're talking about him with Texas A&M. Really good player. That would be huge. I mean, he's a dude that can get after it. I believe he's from New Jersey, if I remember right. Tori Sims, we going after defense that wins championships. I'm happy about us going for that. No doubt about it, man. The teams that win it historically have great defense. That's not any news flash. I also expect to see a lot of guys get involved, excuse me, with recruiting some of these key defensive guys, because Florida State's now got a track record, right? Ventral Cypress and Jared Verse are just a couple of them. They've got quite a few guys in some way, shape, or form that have transferred in the last 4 years, been successful, even before the portal. Jordan Travis, too, at quarterback. They've had a lot of success. All right. I agree with you, man. We can't sweep on our O-line. Don't want to go backward there. Yeah, they got to recruit O-line better out of the high school ranks. Nothing wrong bringing in portal guys to clear it up, but it can't be your mainstay. This does not look like a good portal year for O-line, and being kind. That could bite Florida State in the butt, depending on who leaves for the draft, who transfers, etc. Something to think about. Tribal Chief, that's right. It's about the dollars, bills. Yo, yeah, 100%, man. Jared Verse, if he plays in the bowl game, I'll be shocked. Who's the best? Who's the one deep we might have the Verse effect? Ooh. That's a good question. I don't know if there's somebody in there that, I mean, what Jared Verse did, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a couple guys rated on it, me, and nobody really knew who he was because he played at freaking Albany. That might be a 1 in 10 year kind of deal because he came from just nowhere. It's ironic. He's from Dayton, Ohio. He wasn't even recruited by like Big Ten schools. And so he went to freaking Albany. He got bypassed by everybody. So let's see what happens. He got a lot bigger and stronger, kind of a late bloomer, but that's wild. While I'm thinking of it, thanks to all the everydayers to make this great. I want to do as many of these live streams as I can while the getting's good during, this is the busiest month of the year for football. Bowl games, ACC title game, recruiting. You got all the stuff on Twitter and Instagram, etc. All the different news. It's a lot of fun. Talking recruiting is a blast in general, but man, I appreciate it. Please subscribe to this podcast and share it. You got questions? Obviously love to do it. So I'm on the road getting ready to go to the Georgia State Finals tomorrow, but it's a lot of fun doing this. And I really do enjoy speaking with everybody and just talking some football. The reason I said that about defense is because it takes some of the pressure off the offense. 100%. Sometimes you're not going to be your best on offense. Look at Florida State. They've got quarterback issues right now. Defense kicked the living crap out of Louisville. I mean, I thought Louisville had a great chance to win that game. What they have, 180? Somebody can correct me if they want to throw it in the chat, but they had like 181 yards of total offense. And they got one of the best play callers in college football, unquestionably, in Mr. Brown. Florida State's defense saved the day. So, yeah, you can win either way. You can win either way. Well, with that, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here just a sec. But thank you again to everybody. Truly do appreciate it. And I'll get out of here on this one for Mr. Plott. How did the podcast go with the Gator guy? I'm glad you asked that. We had a lot of fun with it because we just think Florida is done for this. Like they're losing everybody. It's just buck wild. I just told it like it was. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of pitching about it, but hey, man, I tell it like it is. So, who's the best high school O lineman to go after? I mean, they're not, to my knowledge, they're kind of done with O line and recruit unless they flip somebody. It's too late. Josh Johnson, what is up with some of these big O line that have been developing, like Armelia and other guys? I haven't heard anything. That's why I'm concerned. It's a great question, Josh. Florida State's got to figure that out because if you don't, relying on the portal eventually is going to bite you. You need to have sophomores and juniors become seniors and fifth-year seniors. They're starting for you at Florida State. If you sign star guys that are developmental, somebody's got to take that ring. We'll see in the spring, but I need to see it happen, and that's the bottom line for me. So, well, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you to everybody. I'll be back again later this week. Probably do a Wednesday show. If I can't tomorrow, I will not have a show. I got so much going on with the state and traveling. Not going to have a Tuesday show, but I will have one pretty much every day thereafter. Definitely Thursday through signing day in some capacity. Might have multiple shows depending on what happens, portal, etc. When I have a live show, I try to get something up early as I can, but I just need specific topics and stuff to talk about. So everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.